Hello and welcome to Bikini Design Club. This is day 2 on how to sew bikini pattern top Marylin. If you haven't seen day 1, don't forget to see it before you proceed to this video. So I have done it, both of them, and they are attached together, and as you can see on the other side, you don't have any seams in contact with you. Just to remind you that this is stabilizer, so it has no stretch, and we are combining it with a stretchy fabric, so sometimes we will have some ripples that we don't want, but it is what it is. It's very hard now, the next few steps. We are still missing here a top stitch, just like we did here, so we can go ahead and do a top stitch or a cover stitch here, and also the same on this side. Something I want to tell you is that this pattern, I have this shape here because I really like it, but I understand if some of you don't want to have these curved areas down here. And if you don't want to, it's very, very simple. When you have your pattern pieces on your table or on your computer, whatever, overlap the seams, of course, and you can redraft the lower seam allowance, the lower seam. So you can do a straight line if you want to, instead of the curved edges that I've made here, okay? And this is a very easy change for you to do. Just do a straight line and you'll be fine. Don't forget that you need space to do the seams, but other than that, you can perfectly align this on a horizontal line if you want to. So I'm just going quickly to my machine and do a cover stitch here, and then we'll be back to prepare our foam cups to combine them with our the rest of our piece. So I've done my top stitch. You probably saw my machine showing, just like I've told you that she does sometimes. So the stitch here is not perfect, but I'm not going to do it again. It's gonna stay like it is. I'm just going to trim all the excess threads that I have, because as you know, I always like to have my pattern clean in the middle of the sewing. So my pattern piece is clean, so now it's much nicer. I also can go ahead and reverse my strap to the right side with my loop turner. And that's what I'm going to do now, and then we will trim our foam cups. If you want to do straps that are wider than mine, you can easily make them wider, because we will attach the straps to the main pattern with a ring. So even if you can even choose a bigger ring than the one I've used, so it's no problem if you want to add some size, some height to your strap to make the strap more supportive for you if you are doing a big cup. Or you can do 2 straps instead of 1 and attach them to the ring and do 2 straps. It's also a good option, so it's up to you. So now for our cups, we want to trim the cups. We want to trim the excess of the foam. So grab a nice scissor that you have, and without cutting the fabric, find the best way for you to just cut the foam, okay? Do not cut the line that you have sewn. Just cut the excess foam that you may have here, you will have. And do this on both cups. So now it's time to place this on the right side. So this was like this, right? I just pull it to the right side, and you can already see how your cup is going to look, okay? And we can do the same on this side. Now comes a very interesting part that I love, is you have to find stretch a little bit. You have to find the perfect stretch for your fabric. So stretch your fabric a little bit and start pinning on the edge of the foam and the fabric here. And stretch it just enough so you don't have ripples on the main sides. I usually go one pin there, and now I'm going to this side here, so you can see that it's doing a wave here. So I'm gonna pull it here like so, and you can see how much fabric is sticking out. And of course, if this was not stretchy, you would only have the seam allowance, but since this is stretchy, I prefer to do this and to control this now. And even if I have a seam that is not the seam that I predicted with the 0.6, it's fine, because I know that I'm aligning the cup and the fabric together. So as you can see here, again, we have a bigger seam that we had on the pattern. Okay, and you have to do this carefully all along your seam so that you will not have ripples, like so, and pin. And so you do this all along the lower edge of your foam cup, and also on the side here, under the arm. Okay, we will also do it under the arm and pin under the arm. So pin here and under the arm. Stretch the fabric so you won't have waves where you don't want them. If your fabric is not so stretchy as mine is, you will not have to stretch the fabric so much, so the seam will be quite similar to the seam included in the pattern, the 6 millimeters. On the other test that I made, my fabric wasn't this stretchy, and so my seams were more accurate according to the pattern. And I also have another fabric that I want to experiment, that it has almost no stretch. It's a very nice fabric for bigger cups and when you want support, even if we decide to do this without the lining. Probably when I do the tutorial without the foam, I will use that fabric because it's a less stretchy fabric, and I feel it will give more support to larger busts. And also, I don't know, so you will see that if you have a fabric that is not so stretchy, you will not need to stretch it this much. Now that my cups are pinned, I'm going to my straight stitch machine, and with a zigzag stitch on the edge of the foam, I'm gonna do a zigzag all along under the arm and on the lower part of my cup, zigzag all around here so that this is secure, and do the same for the other cup. So despite we now have seam allowances that are bigger, don't forget to still align the main lines from your fabric and your foam. So now that we have did the zigzag, now that we have done the zigzag here and here, we can trim the excess fabric, but just be careful not to trim too much. You don't want to cut any piece of the seam that you were just doing a few seconds ago. So just be careful and don't cut the threads, just cut the fabric, the excess fabric, okay? Use your scissor, use your cutter just like me, wherever you prefer, since you're the boss. Don't worry if you still think that you have some ripples here, because once this is with the underwire and everything is ready, and once it's on the body, you will see that the fabric will still stretch a little bit, and probably you will be fine. So don't stress if you have some ripples coming out here, because it will eventually also stretch a little bit once it's on you. Now we need to connect our 2 cups to the lower part that we were preparing before. And the thing here is that we are going to attach a curve from the foam here, from the cup, to an opposite curve from the bridge and the cradle. And so this is interesting, and you need to practice a little bit before you are ready to do this, but believe me, you will be able to do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So align the edge here with the edge here, right sides facing together, like so. And you know that you need to begin there. And then again, I will do this on my hand and not on my table. I will align my center seam with my center seam and place another pin on the center. And then I'm going to see the middle here of the bridge with the inner top of my cup, align them together again, and pin them. And you now have 3 anchor points that will help you do the curves, the opposite curves. But you can easily, in your hand, you will see it's easier that on the table. You can connect the fabrics together and pin halfway on one cup and align the curves like so, and pin again more or less midway between the other pins. And we now have this ready to go to our sewing machine. Instead of doing the other, I'm going to do one by one because it's easier for me. I'm also a beginner, just like probably most of you. So I'm gonna go with a straight stitch, and I'm gonna sew this stitch 1/2 centimeter from the edge and go straight ahead until the top here. And then we will come back, we'll do exactly the same for the other cup. So one of the cups is already attached. Don't worry about the bulkiness here. For now, just ignore it, okay? Now let's do exactly the same for the other one. Align the inner, align the outer cup on the edges, align the middle here. Sew with a 1/2 centimeter seam allowance, just like I did here, and come back. So we are back on the table. Our 2 cups are attached. It is starting to be a bikini top underwire shape. Grab your underwire channeling that you for sure have on your table, and with the piece lying on the table like I have here, I'm gonna tell you that we need to attach the channel to this piece of seam that we have here, without catching the back part. So we will start placing our channel on the top here, on the edge of the fabric here. I mean, we will then need to do something here, so we can do this a little bit lower, 1/2 centimeter from the edge. Yeah, 1/2 centimeter from the edge, on the under the arm, not on the middle, under the arm, 1/2 centimeter from the edge. Only grabbing the seam that we have just made and placing the channel on the line that we have sewn. We are going to stitch without catching the line, so like a millimeter towards the side of the seam, you are gonna sew the channel to the seam on a straight line here, very near the edge of the channeling and very near this seam that we had made before, and only catching this seam when doing so, because we don't want our stitch securing the channeling, this stitch, we don't want it to be seen on the other side. So this is something that you must do carefully. Attach this very near the edge here and sew all along here, doing a curve until the ends here in the middle, until really you reach the ends. I'm gonna use the same thread that I have, and this is very easy to make the curve, so it will be very easy for you to adjust this while you go. So let's go ahead and secure our channels to the main pieces. When you reach the center here, just to tell you that you can of course, I'm gonna use this that is very long, so in the end here I will stop and then I will cut, but we will cut this very near the edge here, so right until the top there. Okay, right until the top. So as you can see, it's getting more shape, and we have secured the channel just like I told you here, very near the other seam that we had just sewn. On the middle we came all the way up, and on the side we left 0.5 centimeter. Now we are going to close the center here before we do anything else. So place your fabric like so, go to your sewing machine and do a straight stitch here, and the channel will be already closed on this side, on the center seam. Okay, so let's just go ahead and just straight stitch here to close the channel. Okay, I've sewn straight stitches like I've just told you, and now it's time to trim all this excess that we have here. So you can cut, without cutting of course your lines, you can cut all this excess fabric that we have here. All this you can cut. So I'm gonna trim all this right now. You see how bulky it is? You can trim all of this on both sides. While I'm doing this, I'm here thinking that it's a temptation not to use my bigger scissor, but I really don't want to use it because I'm afraid to get too excited and cut things that I'm not supposed to cut, so I use my smaller scissor. Just to let you know that, don't worry, we have just cut it, the zigzag from the foam with the fabric, remember? That's not a problem because now you already have two other seams that you made to secure everything together, so don't worry about cutting all this because we really don't want that bulkiness underneath our channel. So our channel is clean and looking beautiful. I trim everything, you know. So now comes an interesting part. We will secure the channel here. So we will hide all this, placing the channel like it is supposed to be, like this, flat, and stitching here very near the edge. What happens, at least what happens with me, is that when I'm doing this on my straight stitch machine, I will do it on this side because my stitch, if I do it with this side facing up, my stitch underneath, sometimes it's not pretty. And if I do it, the wrong side of the stitch is going to be on my main fabric, and I don't want that. So I have to imagine where this is, where the edge of this channel is, when I'm sewing on this side, because this is the side where I'm going to sew. If you feel comfortable on sewing with this side up on your machine, please do so, and it's easier to control. But for me, my machine doesn't really allow me to do that, so I will go and do a stitch with this side up on my table. I already know more or less where the edge of the channel is, and I can feel it. So when I go to my machine, I use my presser foot as a guide to do the stitch here. I will use a straight stitch, and it's just go from one edge until the other edge. It's quite simple and straightforward. I'm going to show you how it is on my other one. I used blue threads to match the fabric. The line is not perfect. Some stitches jumped. As I told you, I really need to get a new machine, but it is what it is. And so the line is here, as you can see, and it comes underneath here and then until the center of the bridge, and your channel will be secure. Okay, so let's go ahead and secure our channel. I really have to find a way to do this better because I was really getting this wrong and jumping stitches on my machine. I even tried changing my footer, my presser foot to the zipper foot, but well, this isn't turning perfect as I want, so in the future I really have to get enough money to buy a new machine. This machine is making me... So I didn't get this perfect on the first attempt. So I'm taking, with the seam ripper, I'm taking my threads and I'm remaking because I really don't like the result. This is something that is very hard for me to do on my machine. My machine skips some stitches, as you can see here. It jumps even with a new needle and everything. So I've tried everything. So I'm gonna take this out and do it again. So if you need to, also repeat the process until we have a cute channel with a nice finish. Our next step will be finishing the bottom part of the top, and then we will use our strap. It's going to be used like if it was a fold over elastic, but we will then use our strap to do the top part here. But so for now, the easy parts, I think it's one of the easiest parts, is just to with your lining facing up, go to your sewing machine and apply rubber elastic all around here until the other ends. And once you have applied the elastic without any tension, we will just fold the fabric and do a zigzag stitch on this side, our cover stitch. And the lower part of the bikini top will be ready. So let's go ahead and do that. You don't need to apply any tension to the elastic at this point. Just feed the elastic into your serger and keep the curves that the pattern has, and that's it. And then when we move on to our top stitch, it's just the usual. Fold the line that you have just sewn and do a zigzag all along the edge, just like we talked before. So our lower seam is ready and finished, and it looks pretty nice, as you can see. And I lost my sound again, as you can see, and I'm again recording it over, but it's fine. And now I'm gonna insert my wires. The wires are the style is demi-cup, as I told you, and as it is mentioned on the pattern. But the wires I have, unfortunately, they are too big for my size. So I'm gonna insert them, so just you can see already the difference, and you should at this stage insert your own wires, because we will then move on and close under the arm and the wing on the top. And when we close that, you will not have access to the wire channel anymore. So this is the moment for us to insert the wire. Again, don't forget to insert the wire with the colored sides on the center of your chest. So use the channel, make sure you use the channel and you do not place the wire on any other hole that you may have there. So insert on the channel and pull it until the ends, and you will see that mine will stick out, so I will have to remove it. But in your case, put your wire at this stage and leave it there, because we are going to close that area as I told you. To finish the edge from the top until the wing on the top, we will use a strap, the strap that I have on my table. So all this edge will be finished with a strap, like the image popping up now. We will sew this fabric like if it was a fold over elastic, and we will make this so you will not see the seams on this edge of your bikini top. I have to remove the wires as I told you, but you leave yours, please. Now for the back here, you can do an overlock to the edge of the fabric if you want, because we are going to do a fold once all this is done. And if you want to overlock this edge, this is the moment for you to do so, this one. I'm not going to. I like mine like it is, so I'm going to leave it exactly like it is. And now we are going to attach the long strap that I have, just like if it was a fold over elastic. And this time you can apply a little, but just a little bit of stretch to the strap, and we will pin the strap right sides facing together, starting on the wing and going all the way around the edge of the wing, and then on the top part of our cradle, and then coming up to the side underarm of our pattern cup, and a pin. Do this on both sides, and we will then apply elastic on the top of, just like it is on the table. We will insert this just like it is. We will place this on our sewing machine with this side up, and we will apply our rubber elastic on this side. My rubber elastic is 0.8 centimeters, and I will apply the elastic from the beginning of this line that I'm preparing here with the pins until the end. I'm going to extend a little bit on the top of the cup, because I will then want to place a ring there, and I really need like 5 centimeters more excess fabric, so I can put it to the other sides and have enough room to sew my cover stitch. So leave 5 centimeters here on this edge, more than you did on the back of the wing. When you reach this edge here, don't worry, you will really be sewing to the opposite edge here of the foam cup, and this is not a problem, because once this is done, we will then fold this, and it's like a small strap that we will fold to the other side and apply a ring, so it will be just perfect. It is so much harder to do the voice over the video than the audio from the video. I really have to make sure next time this doesn't happen. Sorry. We can go ahead and sew our elastic with our serger or overlock from the edge of this strap until the back part. So apply the elastic with your overlock, and we'll be back. So as you can see, we have sewn the elastic to the fabric just like I told you, and we didn't go with the machine until the channel. And when I reached the edge here, I stopped, because I'm going with my zigzag or my straight stitch. It's much more easy for me to control, and I'm going to make this small edge here from the end. I'm going to do with my zigzag. And once I reach the end here, I will still continue sewing with the zigzag, securing my elastic to my strap, because then when we fold, I like the finish, and you will see why, but we really need to extend a little bit the elastic. Of course, you have to repeat exactly the same process for the other cup. If you feel more comfortable doing this on your serger, go ahead, but I really prefer doing this more accurate stitch on my straight stitch machine. We will then, all along this line, fold to the other side and do a stitch almost invisible with our zipper foot, but we will go there in a bit. Just trim again all the excess threads that you can, and we will prepare the finish for the straps. So now that all of this is ready, it's time to finish these top straps that we have just sewn with the elastic. And as you can see on the neckline, you will have no seams visible, so you will have a seam visible here down below, right, with the zigzag, but here there are no seams. And so I also wanted to do the top with no seams, and that's why I'm applying this here. And this is very simple. We will just fold this fabric to the other sides, and with a straight stitch, but using our zipper foot so that we can be very accurate where we place our stitch. I am going to my straight stitch machine and apply a straight stitch very near the edge of this strap. So this is something that I do, and I already tried, and it looks okay. I really like it. So just fold carefully your fabric without stretching it and laying your elastic flat on the table. Fold over to the other side and pin. Make sure you use a lot of pins because you really want this to be accurate and even all along the line, and the same for the other side. I will show you slowly so that you can be sure that you can exactly repeat the process. And we do this from one edge to the other, so we pin all the areas, including the edge on the top. So since I want to sew very near the edge of this fabric here, and my needle is aligned on the middle, so it will not be exactly where I want, I have adjustments on my machine, and I'm going to move my needle to the right until the exact place where I want my needle to go in contact with my fabric. So I'm gonna do like straight stitch, and then I'm gonna move my needle to the right, I think more, probably here. Now I'm gonna go down slowly. Yeah, I think it's on the correct spot, so I can start sewing. My fabric is aligned with the zipper foot, so it's easy. This is higher, so it will perfectly be aligned on the zipper foot, and I will sew over the entire area like I told you. For this small edge here, we will need a little bit of this edge fabric, because we will then make a fold and we will place the ring here on the top. So we need a little bit of sewing here so that this has a nice finish. I'm gonna do a zigzag, despite I don't love, but it's the solution. So I'm gonna do a zigzag on this small part here, and then when we fold, you almost don't see the zigzag. So I'm gonna do a zigzag on both straps. Don't forget to change your foot, because if you do zigzag with your zipper foot, you will break your needle. So don't forget to change your foot. Okay. So once you finish doing this, you can now see the result, and you can see that we have excess fabric all along this line, but that's not a problem. On this edge here we will leave a little bit, as I told you before, but trim all the excess fabric that we have on this other side. Do it carefully so you will not cut your threads, your line, and the finish will look good in the end. But if you do it carefully, make sure not to do curves or leave uneven edges, and be sure it will be very beautiful. I think you will agree that the finish looks pretty nice once everything is trimmed properly, and even if you see closer, it is fine. I actually noticed that my wire channeling is a bit short. Probably I would like this to go under the line that we have just sewn, but well, next time I'll probably do this a little bit longer. It's even good for me because, as you know, I don't have my wire with the correct size, so I will place it later. So at this stage this was even a good mistake for me, but probably just a little bit higher. And the edge here is also trimmed and with a zigzag, and it's fine. We will then fold this to place our ring. So grab your ring, because that's the next thing we are going to do.
Now it's time to decide which accessory you want to use here to have this and then connect to your strap. So let me tell you that you have many ways to do the finishes for this top, because you could have I could have continued my strap, and instead of connecting a new strap here, this could be already my final strap if I had made it longer. And you can do this without being like reversible, like no seam visible. So we can do many alterations here, but this time on this tutorial this is the option. But I will do in the future another one without the foams, and we will test some new things there. So I'm deciding between white, this blue, and black. No, black for sure I don't want. I think I want white, or this blue. I also like this one. No, but I want the white. Yes, I will use my white rings for now. So it's very simple. Just grab your ring, place it exactly on the edge there, and now I'm going to my straight stitch machine, and I'm going to secure here, maybe with the zipper foot to go closer to the ring, and I will do here a lightning stitch because it's elastic and I feel more secure with it than the straight stitch. And I'm just going to go ahead and secure this ring here, and of course the same on the other side. And besides this, I will also create the channel on the back, and this is very simple. You just fold the fabric until you have enough room to go over with your strap. So 1 centimeter is enough. I don't need to take this much, probably like so. And again, with the lightning stitch, I'm gonna stitch from the top to the bottom, creating the channel. If you want to make any alterations here, if you wanted, as I told you in the beginning, you could have made the wings longer, and you could place a clasp on the back, and you would now just place the clasp. But in this case, I'm gonna do the channeling. if you want to do the clasp, you have to reduce the height here because most of the clasps are not so high as the pattern. So you had to reduce the height of the wing center back and make them a little bit longer, and then you would adjust to you and cut the excess fabric. So let's go ahead and place our rings and create our channels.
I always test my stitch before I do it on my final piece, and in this case my lightning stitch is configured to 2 length and 2 high. Replace my foot. Create some high on the back, because as you know already by this point, my machine doesn't like different heights. Finally, sew both channels so that your strap can go through the channel on both your wings, and we are almost ready. Don't go yet. I've made some videos showing you how different fabrics can make this top look so different, and I've also made some pictures in detail so that you can see the final result. And that will be all for today, guys. See you soon. Thank you.
So as you can see, of course this is a doll, not a real body, but of course we can see here that the wire is too big and it's opening the pattern because it's not the correct size. But you know, I already explained that I don't have the wire for this size, but you can already see that the result of the bikini Marylin. And for the straps, as I was telling you, we have a lot of options. I made this one with going over your neck, and then the same strap goes through the ring and then comes here to the back, sorry, the jumps, and then they cross, they go through the channel, and I tied a small bow. This is just one of the options. You have many options. You can do straight and then come through the channel. You can do so many options, or just crossed without this one over your shoulder, over your neck. So you have a lot of options as I explained. You could have placed the boning here, as I also told you on the video, on the beginning of the video, but I think the result is pretty nice.